Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Host Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. Trinidad and Tobago's 2023-2024 budget read in the Parliament on Monday. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Wednesday, 4th October 2023, brought to you in association with our friends at Antillean Group. Details when we return.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so clear to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
Welcome back. Public servants will get a Christmas gift from the government of Trinidad and Tobago in the form of back pay. More in this TTT news item.
Public servants will get a Christmas gift from the government in the form of back pay. The payout to public servants is among the fiscal measures announced by Finance Minister Carl Mimbert. He has mandated all ministries to ensure that the back pay is paid by Christmas of 2023.
We have provided $1 billion in back pay for those 37,000 public sector workers who have accepted our offer of a 4% increase.
An increase in the minimum wage will also come into effect from January 1st, 2024. The Finance Minister says this will increase the monthly take-home pay by some $500 to $900 per month.
We will increase on January the 1st, 2024, as I said before, the minimum wage by 17% or $3 per hour, from $17.50 an hour to $20.50 an hour, which will help almost 200,000 workers at this level.
The Finance Minister also announced capital expenditure of $6.2 billion to stimulate economic growth further.
Meanwhile, more police officers to fight crime in 2024 was among the announcements made by the Finance Minister Carl Mimbert in his budget presentation.
An increase in the intake of police recruits, more police vehicles, scanners at the country's ports, and additional riverine craft for the police service. These are some of the measures outlined by the Minister of Finance to deal with safety and security of Trinidad and Tobago. Minister of Finance Carl Mimbert says the government remains particularly disturbed at the untenable level of murders within society. He notes the total number of active police officers is affected by mandatory retirement, resignation of officers, and officers on vacation or other types of leave. And as such, on the cards for 2024 is the strengthening of the police force.
We have mandated the Commissioner of Police to triple the intake of police recruits in 2024, from the usual annual intake of 300 recruits a year to 1,000 recruits in 2024.
And an allocation of $80 million will assist the police service to expand and establish more community patrols throughout the country.
An additional allocation totaling $80 million has been included in 2024 for new vehicles and equipment for the police, over and above the allocations in 2023.
The Finance Minister also spoke to the proliferation of illegal guns entering Trinidad and Tobago. He says to assist with the detection of illegal guns, new scanners will be placed at ports of entry in Trinidad and Tobago.
We have awarded a contract at an estimated cost of $90 million to show how important we see this for the supply, delivery, installation, and commissioning of 4 large-scale, non-intrusive inspection scanners for shipping containers, which we will deploy at the ports of Port of Spain and Point Lisas.
The Finance Minister says the police riverine unit will also be strengthened as a further sum of $15 million has been allocated to establish a riverine unit in Carenage. This allocation includes the construction of a jetty and the purchase of 10 fast and nimble vessels.
Still on more budget news out of Port of Spain, the collection of property tax will be effective in the financial year 2024. TTT News' Sunil Lalla has the details.
Finance Minister Com Imbert said government is at an advanced stage of operationalizing the property tax regime, reiterating that the Valuation Division has crossed the 50% threshold of residential properties required. He confirmed that he has received the residential property valuation roll for TNT.
This valuation rule will now be sent to the Inland Revenue Division, which will set in motion the procedural framework for collecting residential property taxes.
The minister said this will provide local government bodies with new and sustainable revenue streams, which would be used for developmental programs and not for personnel expenditure. He also criticized the opposition for making false claims that the property tax is calculated in capital values rather than rental values.
I expect that at least 50% of all residential properties, and quite likely more than 50%, will pay property taxes somewhere between $540 and $1,080 annually.
And he noted that the vulnerable will be shielded from the impact of the property tax.
If a citizen cannot pay the tax due to hardship, or if they are on old age pension or public assistance, if they are on old age pension, public assistance or disability grants, or they have minimal income, they can apply to the Board of Inland Revenue for deferral of property tax.
Minister Imbert also revealed that property owners or occupiers will soon begin to receive notices stating the amount of property tax they will be required to pay. Sonolala, TTT News.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
In association with our friends at
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
Minister of Tourism Marsha Henderson announced a 1st October start to the 2023-2024 cruise tourism season in St. Kitts and Nevis, with an expected visitor arrivals well below the immediate pre-pandemic years. Henderson is calling on stakeholders to do what they can to increase visitor spend from a pool of visitors that should arrive on the island from 342 scheduled calls. Compared with over 1 million passengers in the pre-pandemic years, it is expected that only 857,488 passengers will arrive. Glenn Bart of SKN News reports.
The Minister made her announcement via Petition Heartbeat, a program of the Ministry of Tourism.
Similar to last season, we will see fewer calls from Carnival Cruise Lines due to the removal of a number of ships from its fleet, including Carnival Fascination. We will continue to experience the effects of the loss of San Juan as a home port. This has resulted in the shortening of cruise itineraries, as cruise lines are now taking a longer route to the Eastern Caribbean due to home porting out of Florida. This fact is coupled with one of the most critical challenges we are facing in the industry today: the introduction of regulations to protect the environment through the limitation of carbon emissions from cruise lines has become a major concern for industry partners. We're all aware that it is our responsibility to protect our environment. We support all efforts geared towards climate adaptation and climate mitigation. One of the efforts being undertaken by cruise liners to protect our environment is the concept of slow steaming, whereby cruise lines are required to reduce vessel speed to conserve fuel and reduce gas emissions. Being mindful of this concept and the voyage from Florida to the destination in the Eastern Caribbean, cruise liners now experience extended itineraries. We, as a destination, will continue to receive calls from Carnival nonetheless, and all other cruise lines that have previously graced our shores. For the upcoming season, we are poised to welcome a total of 342 calls, bringing a capacity of 857,488 passengers to our shores. While we continue to look at the arrival numbers, I must encourage us to do all that we can to increase visitor spend on the island.
The season will see 18 inaugural calls, including the inaugural call from the largest cruise ship in the world, Icon of the Seas, on 30th January 2024. Glenn Bart reporting for SK Newsline.
Over 200 police officers have been added to the JCF on Friday. Dwayne Anderson of TVJ News reports.
The government is committed to investment in our security force and in particular in the Jamaica Constable Force.
Yet another passing out parade at the National Police College. On Friday, more than 200 men and women graduated to provide much needed additional boots on the ground for the JCF. But as gangs continue to wreak havoc in several communities across the island, a charge to the new members from the National Security Minister, Dr. Horace Chang.
As we confront the changing social and economic landscape in Jamaica, some of the most pressing issues we face include the pervasive influence of criminal gangs, interpersonal violence, and the proliferation of advanced fee fraud, which is called scamming. They are threatening the very fabric of our society.
There's a view that tackling crime will require more than just boots on the ground. The minister insists the government has invested heavily in national security and the country will see more results soon.
Major technological upgrades and digitization of the force are ongoing through the Security Strengthening Project and the development of the technology branch within the JCF. You would have already seen the digitized traffic ticketing system in operation. We will continue to expand the system by acquiring additional handheld devices and printers. This is merely the visible impact of our digitization program. The police stations are being equipped with computers, and the big books that would maybe strain some of the young ladies' hands will go elsewhere.
But while those changes are being made, there are also plans to improve the force's investigative capacity. But how?
Today, the officer force stands at less than 4% of the force. The objective that as we recruit, and have been recruiting aggressively and actively, and welcome you as one of that batch, and we approach the establishment level of 14,000, and with a view to moving to 18,000 rapidly, we'll also increase the cadre of Officer Corps.
Dwayne Anderson, TVJ News.
A new session of the Bahamian Parliament has begun. Here is a snap view of what to expect and why young people are urged to tune in from ZNS News.
Vice President of the Senate, Byron Griffin, sat with us to break down what the day means.
When you first come into government, you have an opening of Parliament. The Governor General reads the speech from the throne, which essentially outlines the priorities of the government in terms of policy, legislation, etc.
According to Griffin, a new slate of bills will be tabled and others revisited, ultimately shaping the course of the country for the next few years.
So what you would see is perhaps a change in certain priorities, the government acknowledging certain successes that have happened so far, and the desire to move on to other goals that it has.
Parliament's open. So what? Why is it so important for the average young person to tune in?
So before the parliamentary session even starts, you almost get a snapshot of what the government is going to focus on. And so I think it's important for young people to know that, so you kind of pay attention to what's to come. Is it something that's going to affect the career field that you currently work in, or perhaps something you're studying? Is the government investing in a new sector where you're able to start a business? Is there going to be more focus on the family islands? Perhaps you're thinking about moving back home to the family islands, or maybe there's a new development or something that's going to happen. So I think anyone who's interested in the future and to kind of know what's going on in the country, I think it's important to see what agenda Parliament has set.
And as the pages turn to begin another legislative agenda, Griffin believes youth are at the forefront of mind for government. But most of all, he's encouraging them to continue to stay informed.
The legislation that is passed now is going to affect the future, so it's going to affect the Bahamas that we live in, that we grow up our children in, that we have to work and thrive in. And so that's one of the major reasons I think young people should tune in, so that you can see what is in store for the future.
For ZNS Digital, I'm Devontae Hanna.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel for daily regional news and more, in association with our friends at Antillian Group.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so clear to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after center on our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.